Hello everybody. Well, this is a little follow-up video from the other one that I already posted the other night that many of you have commented on, that was entitled, "What Did She See in the Sky?" And I have put that first video down below so you can go look at that first, and maybe this will make more sense to you. Okay, my daughter came to spend the night, the one that saw the UFO and the satellites going across the sky. And so I asked her to be on film, but she is so disturbed by what she saw in the sky that she declined. And so did her boyfriend, because they said they felt like they weren't supposed to see what they saw. But she said, "I will write down everything in detail," because, you know, I didn't know all the details when I did the video. And so she wrote out this in her journal, and she decided, man, I'll just give you the rough copy. She ripped it out of the journal. She said, I'm going to rewrite it anyway because this is just too important. So anyway, I'm just going to read her account as she saw it, and y'all just sit there and listen to it. I don't even know where to start. My boyfriend and I saw something unexplainable. Some unexplainable things last night. I looked out of the bedroom window and I noticed a satellite going across the sky. We quickly realized that this is not normal. Why? Because after that satellite thing comes another and another. We run outside and find where these satellites or whatever are coming from. They're all appearing at Orion's belt. After we freaked out a while, worried we were being invaded, I called Mom, and she called her ex-husband, and we found out from everyone that they were seeing, who were seeing these. It's some new internet that Tesla came up with, Starlink. Listen, this is where it gets crazy. I see what seems like the end of the presumed satellites, and I notice something forming. It comes out of nowhere and appears. And there's 3 triangular lights on each corner. They kind of appeared out of thin air. I thought it was another satellite coming, but when the 3 totals suddenly were there in the shape of a triangle, I lost it. I yelled for my boyfriend to look. He tried to explain away at first, but after trying and failing, it was clear that even he was freaked out and didn't know what this could possibly be. We watched these lights rotating, getting dimmer or brighter, but all at different times. The lights, they moved weird sometimes, like swirling, unnatural movements for lights. Sometimes the lights would dim down altogether, and it seemed like it disappeared and then would reappear again. This thing did not seem to be in our airspace, but like in outer space, just out of our atmosphere. Then this is where it gets crazy. All of a sudden, I see a quick flash of something shooting from the ground on Earth. And it was in the direction of this triangular craft. I asked my boyfriend if he saw that, and he hadn't. So I thought maybe I thought I'd seen something, but I was mistaken. Just after that, we saw the sky light up in an orange-colored flash. Josh saw it too. That's when I got scared and knew I really had probably seen that first flash going towards that craft. Then, while we were watching the craft and confirming with each other that yes, we for sure were both seeing the same thing, suddenly a bunch of smaller flashes started happening closer to this triangular UFO craft thing. These were bright. We both saw them. They were close but didn't seem to hit the craft. They were orangey in color, like fire almost. That's exactly what I saw, y'all. That's exactly what I saw that I told you about in the other video. After that, we are both looking at the sky and watching and waiting. And in the northwest, where I saw the first flash fly from, I see a more white, bluish flash going down from the craft this time, away from the triangular craft. And at the same time, in my peripheral vision, we see towards the west area where this big city is that I told you about. Now I'm just going to tell you Tulsa, okay? Oklahoma. Where it lights up, bright orange colored flashes again. We both freaked. Clearly, we were witnessing a war. My boyfriend is very rational and doesn't embellish stories, and this scared him. He ran inside and came out with his AR-15. This experience changed my perspective on life. It changed me. There is so much more to this life. You have no idea. She is highly disturbed about what happened. But this happened. And this is the follow-up. This is from her. This is how she saw it. It bothers me because in the late 1970s, and I've got other videos telling about this dream I had, but I feel led to tell you about this dream I had in the late 70s. I had a dream that was in chapters. Every one of them was in chapters, and it was after a conversation with friends that night in my living room, and we were discussing UFOs. I was curious. So I asked God that night when I laid down, God, what are UFOs? What are they? Are they good or are they bad? And when I went to sleep, I had this dream. I've never had another one like it. It was in chapters. It was right to the point. It's full of symbolism that you can pick up on when you hear this dream that relates to today. Now, I'm just going to tell it. I fell asleep. The first chapter, I'm in my living room with the windows up, the radio is on, and I hear all the neighbors outside. I look outside and they're all looking up in the sky. I hear a man come on the radio and say, we're being invaded by UFOs. All of the world powers have joined together to try to find out what these are. And just stay close to home and be careful. Well, I ran outside and I looked up and there was triangular shaped UFOs going over. That was the end of that chapter. Now I want to tell you right now, there were no such thing as UFO crafts that people were talking about in that time. It didn't start talking about it till about 4 or 5 years later, maybe 3 years later. They started talking about triangular shaped UFOs. Okay, so anyway, the next chapter, we're listening to the radio and they're saying, we have made contact with the leader of this group that is coming to Earth, and they want to be our friends, and they want to show us how to travel with our minds. They want to teach us how to grow food on the ocean floor. They want to teach us how to cures for cancer and other diseases, and how to be healed. And so anyway, we made friends with them. The next night, there was a special on TV. This is the next chapter. We're all sitting in front of the TV, and we're watching the TV. And, I left something out. So anyway, the leader of that group said, we will not appear as we really appear because you couldn't handle our appearance, but we will appear as humans to you. It reminded me of those shapeshifter people they're talking about nowadays, that they just all of a sudden shape into a lizard and, do weird things like that. And it's like, maybe this stuff is real, Okay, so the next chapter is we're all sitting around watching the TV, and the leader comes on the TV walking across the stage to shake our president's hand, which was Jimmy Carter at the time. And they were just grinning and everything, and he did look like a human, okay? He had dark hair and he was really tall, and then that chapter ended. The next chapter, I'm in a church. Now, when I had this dream, I really wasn't serving God. I knew he existed, but I did not serve him. I did not follow him. I did whatever I wanted, okay? So I wasn't really, just religiously following the Lord at the time. But anyway, in this dream, I went to church. It was like the rapture had happened. There was hardly anybody there, but I was there, and there was a few there, and the preacher was there, and he said, I want to let you know right now, these people are not your friends. They are satanic, and they are led by the Antichrist. They are going to offer you a mark. At first, it's going to be voluntary. Then later, it is going to become mandatory. Do not take it. And then that was the end of that chapter. The next chapter, I'm sneaking around like in the trees looking at this World Mind Center that they had created that was in the shape of a pyramid. Now remember, I said a lot of this stuff is really symbolic, okay? And people were all excited lining up going into this building. And I'd already knew I wasn't going to go in there. They were getting the mark voluntarily, okay? They were going in all happy and excited, and they were filing out the back like robots, totally controlled. Their DNA had been messed with. I have a feeling they got the mark and it changed their DNA. They were no longer going to realize they needed a savior. Okay, that chapter ended. The next chapter is dark. I'm watching all these military police. Back then, we didn't have military police. It never was talked about, ever. Now it's commonplace for us to know that if there's ever a great big riot that breaks out, they're going to call in the military police to take over things, right? Well, in this dream, there were military police, and they were evil, and they worked for the dark side. They had dark uniforms on, I think, with a red emblem on it. They had black helicopters, and this is another thing. There was no night vision when I had this dream. Nobody knew of it. We didn't have an internet to learn about any new technology. All we had was magazines and the newspaper. There was nothing in there about having night vision at this time. But these helicopters had the ability to see us even at night. And they saw me. They were looking for me. I was running. I was hiding because they were going to try to make me submit to the mark. The next chapter, I'm captured. I'm walking in front of a long table with all kinds of dignitaries and military all working for the dark side now. And there is an alien sitting there. And they asked me, "Will you deny Jesus?" "No, I will not." And they put me in a cubicle, had no windows or doors, and I was just closed in, and it was like they were talking to me with their minds, and they were saying, "Don't think about Jesus. Don't think about God. He doesn't exist," and on, and trying to get me to deny Christ. Let your mind just relax. Just let us take you to another place. A higher realm, blah, blah, blah. Finally, I fell out of my chair on my knees and I screamed, "I will not deny Jesus." And I screamed it in the dream. And when I woke up, at that very moment, I woke up. My heart was pounding out of my chest, scared the daylights out of me and everything else. And I knew from that moment on that UFOs are not friendly. They are not for us. They're going to be used in the end times and in the great deception because Satan wants to trick everybody into believing that he is the Messiah. He is the Son of God. He is the ruler. He is the one you need to worship. He's God. And he's going to come down with his army. He is going to try to prove to you that he is God. And that's how it's going to happen. He's been working on it for years and years and years. Now we're seeing all these triangular shaped UFOs. Now we're seeing all this stuff they're doing with the DNA mess. And they're talking about a mark. And they're talking about shooting us up with, shooting us up with all kinds of, inoculations and things that could possibly have something in it trying to change our minds, our DNA and stuff in us that's put in there to know God. There is a God gene. Are they trying to take that out, extract it, pervert it? I don't know, but I'm telling you, this all lines up with the end time, just like my dream. And so I'm just telling you that. Because if you don't know Jesus Christ, this would be a good time to get him. He's given people dreams and visions of the last days. In fact, the Bible is full of men that had dreams and visions and wrote it down that is coming to pass before our eyes right now. We need to realize that this world is just not about flesh and blood, but there's principalities and powers and rulers of darkness in high places, the heavenly realms. And I'm telling you what, you're not wrestling down here with mere flesh when you see wickedness. You're messing with spirits. And those spirits have an evil agenda. And it's coming close to the horizon. And so I'm just saying, seek it out. Ask God like I did. I wouldn't say when I asked him but he really wanted me to know. And it stuck with me since the late 70s. And now we've got these triangular UFOs that are appearing that I knew nothing about. Now we have night vision. Now we have military police. Now we have people traveling with their minds. Now we have the mark and it's perfected. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. And let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did. I'd appreciate you leaving me a comment and let me know if you liked it or not. Let me know what you're thinking. And I'm just a grandmother, mother, a wife that just, I've always liked thinking about weird stuff and trying to figure it out. And now that I'm a Christian, I try to weigh everything out, how it's going to work out in the Word, how it relates to, current events today. And I'm telling you what, if this stuff doesn't line up with the Word of God like never before, I don't know what is. All right, God bless you guys. And look up, He's coming soon.